Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. Today, hopefully I'm bringing for your viewing pleasure an interesting fountain pen that overall I do like and that I had it in my possession for almost 2 years or so. The fountain pen in questions, the Conklin Endura Deco Crest. I have purchased this pen from eBay and I paid a little bit on it, about 155 Canadian dollars with free shipping. This fountain pen comes in a design that usually is referred to as a skeleton fountain pen because of the intricate metal mesh pattern that it's on top of the resin. And I have to admit, I really do like the pattern that it has. And that's pretty much the main reason why I actually was attracted by it and I decided to purchase it. Like the previous Conkling fountain pen that I reviewed, the shape is very reminiscent with the Parker Duofold, and maybe that's why it's one of the designs that stands out and people do like. Anyway, going quickly through the fountain pen, no true finials to talk about, both ends are flat-ended. I do like this metal gun mesh metal parts that it has on it. As I mentioned, I do like the design of it. The clip that it comes with, it's actually pretty decent. It doesn't open too much, but it should accommodate quite a few pockets or basically pen cases. Doing a quick short test takes a little bit of effort to actually put it over the cloth. However, after it's over, it slides in pretty nicely. This is what you see out of your shirt or pen case. Removing it, very simple, very easy, no issue, no snags, and it doesn't really pinch the cloth that hard. On the clip, we do have the name Conklin. And on the band, on the cap, we do have Endura, Deco Crest on the other side. One thing to note, when the pen is capped, unfortunately the design doesn't really line up. One thing to note, you can sort of see the nib inside the cap. The resin, it's almost semi-translucent, and as such, unfortunately, you can also see the bits that were glued inside the cap. And I mean, on my copy seems to look okay, but I'm not sure if all of them will be like that. The cap, it's a twist cap, removes very quickly, about a turn I would say, based on how it feels. And once you remove the cap, it will reveal a fairly short section that basically is made from the same material as the mesh that covers the resin. As such, this might be slippery depending on your hand or how oily your hand can get. In my case, right now I have a Bach nib. The pen did not originally come with that. I'll get to that in a minute. Having a quick look inside the cap, nothing really extraordinary going on in there. Light gets in very nicely. As I mentioned, the material, the resin, it's semi-transparent a little bit, so light can get inside of it very nicely. And I think at the end we do have some sort of a metal piece that I guess is part of how the finial or the cap is held together at the end, especially for the clip. I have not tried to open this, so most probably it might be glued in place. Going back to the nib part of the pen, as I mentioned, I have replaced it, and right now I have a Bach nib on it. Now, the original reason that I replaced it is that when it did came with an Omniflex nib. However, that nib in question, it came pretty much mangled and banged up. I think somebody was trying to force this nib to sit properly on that generic feed that these Conklin pens come with. And as I mentioned from my previous review with Conklin, I'll link it up at the top. Unfortunately, Omniflex nib don't really play very well with these feeds, and I assume somebody, I don't know if the seller or somebody else, tried to make it work, and yeah, they mangled, they pretty much killed the nib. I mean, it can be saved, but it requires some extra work that I'm not willing to put in. Anyway, I did complain to the seller, and to their credit, they've sent another Omniflex. But as I was waiting, I just wanted to use the pen and try it out, so I just put a bog nib on it, and it stayed on it. And I find it much better fit, at least on this specific pen. And yes, this is a nib unit that can be easily removed. Going back to the barrel, pretty nice. As you've seen most probably already, at the end we do have threads in there, and basically those threads are to post the pen. Unfortunately, when you post it, again, things don't really line up. So basically you have this thing and the nib it's slightly to the side, doesn't really line up with the nib. And then in this case it does sort of line up better when it's posted. However, you have to fiddle with it because you have different posting positions. So I think it's a 3-star. Yeah, so it could take you up to 3 tries in order to get it aligned in there. Barrel, it's a twist barrel. Removes very easily, not a problem. A very tall collar like we had on the other Conkling fountain pen, with a converter that does come included. And this is a twist converter. And it works very nice, not an issue, very smooth. And having a look inside the barrel, pretty much just like the cap, fairly simple inside there. The semi-translucent material lets light go inside the pen to easily see what's going on in there. Well, sort of easier. And at the end we have some metal bits that, again, I guess keeps the whole back end of the pen together. In hand, the pen actually has, it feels substantial. It's quite a lot of weight because of all the metal bits that it has on it. And for my hand, I'm not too crazy about that section. It's very small. As I've mentioned a few times, I do prefer longer sections. However, somehow I can make this pen working by having my basically thumb up here and my point finger there, and that's how I use it. This, however, makes the pen feel very small in my hand. It's literally just barely at the limit of sitting on my knuckle in there, and that would be my position how I use it. Balance wise, the pen it's actually fairly well balanced and posted. I like it. If you find the pen too small, it can be posted, as I've already shown. And yeah, you do have to fiddle a little bit with it until you get it aligned with the nib. Sort of got lucky in there this time. Unfortunately though, this makes the pen extremely top heavy because the cap is actually quite heavy. So for smaller hands, yeah, you'll definitely feel that weight and you'll fight a little bit with it. For me, it's at the edge of being comfortable, so I don't like it as much. In order to keep it comfortable in hand, I would have to hold it somewhere up here on the barrel. So maybe for loose sketching it will be okay, but detail work I wouldn't like it that much. As such, personally, I use it, when I use it, mostly unposted. But that might be too tiny for some hands, as it is almost too tiny for my hand as well. And this is pretty much it. This is the fountain pen. Very intriguing, as I mentioned. I liked it. I still like it. I'm not really sorry I purchased it, but in hindsight, I would have looked for a deal and pay less if I can, which is something that I would recommend you to do the same if you're interested in purchasing this pen. Now let me go ink it up. I'll do a writing sample and then hopefully we'll get a nice sketch with it. For today's ink, I decided to go back to the AliExpress ink that I got. Again, I don't know exactly what the name of it is, but I like to call it a mossy green. It's definitely one of my favorite things that I got from AliExpress. Okay, so this is Conklin. I forgot Enduro. Deco. Crest. Fountain pen. Nib works actually very well. Very smooth. Should be fun for drawings. And the reverse, definitely a little bit drier, a little bit thinner. Seems to keep up pretty well with my hand. And if you slow down the flow, it's actually pretty good. So yeah, no surprises there. And again, I really like this ink. I like the shade he has. No actual flex out of this nib. You do get a little bit more ink when you press down, but just because you press down on it, no actual flex. And a little bit elastic, as they would say, and puts actually quite some serious ink. Those are some nice blobs in there. So yeah, I like the nib. I kind of do like the fountain pen, and so far so good. Let's see what we can do with this pen, and hopefully we'll get a nice sketch out of it. And I'll let you know what I think of it. Another fun drawing. I'm really enjoying this kind of a loose, messy sketching. I'm curious how far I can take it. I'm not sure what the drawing is in the end. Maybe some sort of a tree, or maybe another kind of lime mold. Well, I guess everyone can see whatever they want in it in the end. As I was in the middle of the drawing, I realized that last time I said I'll try again the Hiroshizuku Takesumi, but somehow I forgot about it. I'll try and remember next time. And the fountain pen worked out pretty good. I had a few issues with skipping for whatever reason, but other than that, everything worked out great. I'm wondering if the skipping was because maybe some paper fibers got stuck between the tines and were stopping the flow. I mean, I did a pretty good exercise to that nib and again to that paper. Still taking it pretty well so far. Anyway, so what do I like about the Conklin Endura Deco Crest fountain pen? I have always had a soft spot for these skeleton type design fountain pens. As such, I found the design of this fountain pen pretty neat in my opinion. I also like the color combo that I choose. That metal gun gray works very well on top of that orange resin. Not to mention that basically the metal also give it a little bit more structure to the fountain pen and strength, and in my opinion will bring it closer to a true EDC fountain pen. Other things, good functional clip, posts well in the end, and secure if needed, and well, converter was included. There are a few things that could have been done better on the fountain pen in my opinion. I guess the first issue was again the Omniflex nib. I won't hold it against the seller since he did send a new nib, but still it's a thing that is good to know. Omniflex nibs are a big miss most of the times from my experience on these pens. You are safer with any other nib that they have. One other thing, they could have went through the trouble and make sure everything aligns properly. The design pattern it makes it very easy to spot where things are not in alignment. So if you have some sort of OCD about it, it's a good thing to take in consideration. Things might not be aligned properly. I know I have seen other reviews where they rave about how perfectly aligned everything is on this pen. Unfortunately, that is not the case with my copy. Additional things, maybe a little bit on the short side if you use it unposted, and if you do use it posted, it's really top heavy even for my hand and grip style. I actually do not like using it posted. And as a last thing, the grip section might be on the slippery side of things. The good thing though is that it has an hourglass shape, and that for me at least helped with holding the pen. Overall, I have to say that I do like the fountain pen, mostly because of the skeleton type design that it has, but I also have to admit that I cannot really recommend it unless you really like its looks and you are willing to live with the downsides that I just mentioned. With that said, this is where I stop talking, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the time lapse, whatever is left out of it. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment below and I will try and get to it as soon as I can. Thank you for joining me today, hope I'll see you next time, and I wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.